September 11, 2001. A day that began like any other, but within hours, transformed into a date forever seared into the world's collective memory. The United States, a symbol of freedom and democracy, found itself under attack. Terrorists targeted iconic American landmarks, forever altering the fabric of the nation and its people. This was not just an attack on buildings, it was a direct assault on American values. 9/11 exposed the vulnerability of a nation, shaking its sense of security. The world watched in horror as the events of that day unfolded. The shockwaves from the attacks reverberated across the globe. In the aftermath, the world grappled with the enormity of the tragedy. The loss of innocent lives and the heroic sacrifices left an indelible mark. 9/11 became a defining moment in history, a reminder of both immense evil and extraordinary courage. At 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time, the world watched in disbelief as American Airlines Flight 11, en route from Boston to Los Angeles, veered off course and crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact, between the 93rd and 99th floors, sent shockwaves through the city and beyond. Less than 20 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175, also departing from Boston and bound for Los Angeles, struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center. The impact between the 77th and 85th floors ignited a massive fire, trapping countless people inside the building. The world watched in horror as the Twin Towers, once symbols of American economic power and ingenuity, became engulfed in flames. The collapse of the South Tower at 9:59 a.m., followed by the North Tower at 10:28 a.m., sent plumes of dust and debris billowing through the streets of Lower Manhattan, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable devastation. As the nation reeled from the attacks on the World Trade Center, another blow struck at the heart of American power. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77, en route from Dulles International Airport to Los Angeles, crashed into the west side of the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. The impact, which occurred on the first floor, caused a partial collapse of the building and ignited a raging fire. The Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, stood as a symbol of American military might, and the attack sent shockwaves through the nation's capital and beyond. Meanwhile, a fourth plane, United Airlines Flight 93, traveling from Newark, New Jersey to San Francisco, was also hijacked. The passengers and crew, aware of the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, fought back against the terrorists. Their heroic actions prevented the plane from reaching its intended target, believed to be the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The courage and sacrifice of the passengers and crew prevented an even greater tragedy, saving countless lives and becoming a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable evil. In the face of unimaginable tragedy, the true spirit of humanity shone through. First responders, including firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and countless volunteers, rushed to the scenes of the attacks, putting their own lives at risk to save others. At the World Trade Center, firefighters and other first responders charged up the stairwells of the burning towers, evacuating those trapped inside. They faced unimaginable heat, smoke, and debris, their bravery and selflessness serving as a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. At the Pentagon, first responders worked tirelessly to extinguish the fire, treat the wounded, and recover the victims. Their efforts, often carried out in treacherous conditions, demonstrated remarkable courage and unwavering dedication to duty. The heroic actions of the first responders on 9/11 will never be forgotten. They represent the very best of humanity, their selflessness and bravery shining through the darkness of that tragic day. Section 5. A Nation in Mourning, the Presidential Address. On the evening of September 11, 2001, a somber President George W. Bush addressed the nation from the Oval Office, his words offering comfort and resolve to a shaken country. He declared, "Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America." Bush's address, delivered just hours after the attacks, sought to reassure Americans and rally them against terrorism. He declared a war on terror and vowed to hunt down those responsible for the attacks. The speech marked a turning point in American history, signaling a new era of foreign policy and national security. In the days that followed, Bush visited Ground Zero in New York City, the site of the World Trade Center attacks. Standing amidst the rubble, he used a bullhorn to address the gathered crowd of first responders and volunteers. His message, "I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon," resonated with the American people. Bush's leadership in the aftermath of 9/11 helped to unite a grieving nation and galvanize global support for the fight against terrorism. His actions and words during those dark days continued to shape America's response to terrorism and its role in the world. Section 6. Picking up the pieces, rescue and recovery. In the wake of the attacks, a massive rescue and recovery effort began at Ground Zero, the Pentagon, and the Shanksville crash site. Thousands of volunteers from across the country and around the world converged on these locations, working tirelessly alongside first responders to search for survivors, recover the remains of victims, and clear the debris. At Ground Zero, the rescue and recovery effort continued around the clock for months. The scale of the devastation was unprecedented, and the work was both physically and emotionally demanding. Yet despite the challenges, the spirit of hope and determination prevailed. The recovery effort at the Pentagon was equally challenging, as teams worked to stabilize the damaged structure while searching for victims and evidence. The crash site in Shanksville presented its own unique challenges, as investigators worked to piece together the events leading up to the crash. The rescue and recovery efforts following 9/11s showcased the resilience of the human spirit and the power of compassion in the face of adversity. The outpouring of support from around the world demonstrated a shared grief and a collective determination to rebuild and recover. Section 7. A new era of security reshaping policies. The 9/11 attacks had a profound and lasting impact on U.S. security policies. In the aftermath of the attacks, the United States embarked on a comprehensive overhaul of its security apparatus, both domestically and internationally. One of the most significant changes was the creation of the Department of Homeland Security in November 2002. The DHS consolidated 22 existing federal agencies into a single department, tasked with protecting the nation from terrorism and responding to future threats. The Transportation Security Administration was also established in November 2001 to enhance security at airports across the country. The TSA implemented stricter security measures, including enhanced passenger screening, baggage checks, and the deployment of federal air marshals on flights. The 9/11 attacks also led to the passage of the Patriot Act, a controversial law that expanded the government's surveillance powers in the name of national security. The act has been criticized by some for eroding civil liberties, while others argue that it is a necessary tool in the fight against terrorism. Section 8. Remembering the Fallen, Memorials and Tributes. Across the United States, memorials honor the lives lost and the heroic actions of first responders on 9/11s. These sites serve as places of remembrance, reflection, and education. At Ground Zero, the 9/11's Memorial and Museum stands as a powerful tribute. The memorial features 2 reflecting pools with the names of all those who perished. The Pentagon Memorial honors the 184 people killed in the attack. In Shanksville, the Flight 93 National Memorial pays tribute to the 40 passengers and crew members who fought back. Section 9. Justice Delayed, the Ongoing Legal Battle. More than 2 decades after the 9/11 attacks, the legal battle to bring those responsible to justice continues. The alleged mastermind of the attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and 4 co-conspirators remain detained at the Guantanamo Bay detention camp in Cuba, awaiting trial by military commission. The pre-trial hearings have been plagued by delays and legal challenges, raising questions about the fairness and transparency of the proceedings. The use of torture against the defendants while in CIA custody has further complicated the legal proceedings, fueling debate about the admissibility of evidence obtained through coercive interrogation techniques. In February 2025, a military appeals court ruled that plea deals for the 9/11 suspects, which would have allowed them to avoid the death penalty, could proceed, despite objections from the Biden administration. The Pentagon is currently reviewing its options, and the future of the case remains uncertain. The ongoing legal battle over the 9/11 attacks highlights the complex challenges of balancing national security concerns with the principles of due process and the rule of law. The outcome of the case will have far-reaching implications for the future of terrorism prosecutions and the legacy of Guantanamo Bay.